Hiya, welcome to the latest video. What we're doing today is a little bit more plumbing. So we're going to hard pipe the main pump for the pond, get rid of the rubber boot fittings, which I'll show you now. So as you know, I've used some rubber boot fittings on the main sort of 4-inch pipe. I do need to change these out. They're absolutely fine, fit for use, but it's more me being a bit particular and trying to make it as safe as possible. But today we are going to be removing the rubber boots, the rubber fittings on the pressurized side of the system, on the pump side. So I'm going to put a nice 1.5 inch swept bend here, union here, and we're also going to hard pipe onto new connections for the heater, just to take out these flexi hoses and Jubilee clips, which, you know, always wary of them popping off. They haven't done for years, they're probably absolutely fine, but this is something I've been meaning to do for a while, so I'll show you what we need for this. Now, everyone who has a fish room will have boxes of spare parts and bits of pipe and all sorts, so that's exactly what I've got under here. So I don't know if you can see that. This is a whole mishmash of bits and bobs, which I'm looking at. These are the 4-inch hard pipe which are going to be put there. So get those bits out. And then we've also got all of the bits for today's job. Okay, so the pump on the 10-foot tank is an Evolution Aqua Varipump 20,000 litre per hour pump. I've actually gone out and just bought another one. This is actually going to go on the koi pond outside. But what I figured I'd do is I'd get this one all set up, hard plumbed, and swap them over. So I've got this one ready to go, a new pump for this tank, and the existing one is about 2 years old. I'll put out on the koi pond. So, but for argument's sake, it's exactly the same pump. And I thought it'd be easier to show you starting from scratch. So straight out of the box, we have the pump itself. Quite a good sized pump. Obviously, this is a cage on it if you want to run it internally, but I run my pumps externally, so I don't need that cage. And there, as you can see, we are left with the 2 threaded unions. So it does come with its own connectors. However, I am not using pond pipe, I am using pressure pipe. So in order to do that and connect it up via that, I've had to buy 2-inch threaded, 2-inch female threaded to plain unions, which will go on there. Unions are quite important because it means once this pump is in situ and all glued in and set, I can still remove it for maintenance by undoing the unions, which will sit on the top and the bottom, which is crucial because obviously once this pipe work is all glued, it can't come apart again. So you need these unions to be able to take the pump out to maintain obviously the impeller. I give that a clean periodically. I mean, I do it not as often as I should, maybe every 6 months or more. So that's the pump. And to come off the 2-inch union which fits onto the pump, I only use 1.5 inch pipe. So my 1.5 inch pressure pipe, you can see there it's far too big. So what you have to put in there then is a 2-inch to 1.5 inch reducer, which we'll glue into the top of the union. See, that just makes the hole smaller, and then you get a nice snug join, and then that will sit there. And obviously we're going to have to glue in on one 90-degree swept bend, and that is what's replacing the rubber boot. So it's a lot more solid. It's going to be glued. It's permanent. And on the other side, it's just going to be on the top one, just a straight coupling onto that pipe. So let's get that ready. Okay, so for gluing this pipe, here's a list of stuff of what you need basically. You obviously need right size pieces of pipe, the fittings you're going to use. For the glue itself, you need a solvent cement. There's loads of brands out there. This one's just a readily available one from B&Q. Really smelly stuff. Bad fumes off it, so have the doors and windows open when you're using it. Simple hacksaw for cutting your pipe, and some old towels or rag just to wipe your hands on because it's a little bit messy. And for the threaded unions, which we're screwing onto the pump, we coat the thread in PTFE tape. It's like a waterproof sealant tape. PTFE stands for put the fucker everywhere, as we say at work. Just be quite liberal with it. I'll show you what we do here. Right, it's a bit hard to hold this and show you, but so basically it's just a thin white tape. You're probably all familiar with this. Now we lay that on and get the first wrap around of this. There we go. Keep it nice and tight. And what you want to do, you can see that, is put generous layers all around the thread. That one's already run out. That was just an old one I had. Oh, motherfucker. Another one here. New one. So we go loop it on. Nice and tight. There we go. Now you really, I think the general consensus is to do about 15 wraps around. I mean, they give you advice depending on the size of the thread and whatnot, but I mean, I always go a little bit over because I only want to do this once. Some generous helpings of PTFE all around that thread. It binds in really, really well. And then the last bit, you can see there's a little technique here. Rather than having it run flat, so I twist it around to get like a thread almost, rather than a flat piece. And give that a few coils around the base, just so it's got like a nice padded, almost forming its own little gasket at the bottom. And then pull that to finish it off there. Now what that means is when I thread on the screwed part of this, we get a really good watertight seal, and that PTFE fills any gaps that might be in the thread. Now, put this on there. You want it to be nice and tight like this. Okay, that is as tight as that will go. There we go. And now we're going to do the same for this one here. Okay, so ready to glue. I thought I'd show you just one more time how we go about that for different parts. So again, clean the edge, clean the inside of our piece to be glued, and clean the outside of the connector pipe. There we go. Very liberally, very big globs of glue in here. Spread it evenly out, but get plenty in there. Let's say you only get one chance to do this. You can't pull them apart again and have another go. And then, as I did before, also on the piece to be glued. Now don't get this stuff on your clothes because it would also melt through your clothes as well, and it sets rock hard. So that there is nicely covered. Now the other thing is, when we put these two together, you don't want to twist it. Once it's in, leave it, just so you don't damage the join. Now right in there. You can see what was oozed out the top, so we give that a nice little wipe all the way around, just for a nice neat finish. Yeah, it's got to look good because I'm going to see it. Wipe off that. That's all done. Nice. Looks like a good joint. Always have a little inspection. Happy with that. And then the key part now is, because we are gluing on the union, is to make sure, I mean that's okay, that'll go, but that bit always needs to be on the pipe before you glue it, because I say, once it's glued you can't get it back off. Luckily for me at the moment I can put that on anyway, so I can't say the amount of times I've glued pipe together and forgot to put that union nut on, and then there's nothing you can do but put a saw through it and start again. So key thing, get those union nuts in the pipeline already. So now we're just going to complete this piece. Nice big amounts of cement, and then again internally on the reducer. To say be quick, but don't make us a mess of it, because it's crucial you get this bit right. So that's ready, and again we put it in, let it ooze out, but we don't twist it around. There we go. So that there is now a completed U-bend, ready to be attached straight to the pump. Now this stuff will say on here about taking what is it here? Usually they say about 24 hours to completely cure. From experience, you know, an hour's usually ample. If I was putting systems in like I do at work that run at very high pressure, then absolutely you want to leave it for as long as possible for the cure to completely go off. But on an open-ended pump system, I mean, what we're going to put through that, maybe 1 bar absolute max. So yeah, I'm just gonna. This will be set for about 4 hours while I do a big water change, basically. So yeah, that's that piece all done. So I'm just going to go ahead now and glue the straight coupler on, and then once I've got everything ready, I'll show you the changeover. Okay, so to take the pump off, coinciding with a water change, so we generally drop the water level right down to just over halfway. Usually change about 1600 litres at a time. So that's coming out. Flow will soon stop coming through here, and we'll turn the pump off, which means I can isolate these 2 blue valves, take the pump offline, drain a little bit of water, and then swap the pump over. So it's good to combine. Good excuse to get the pump done because the water change is due. So to take the pump off, get a few towels out because we are going to lose a bit of water here. But if I can take the unions off from these valves, there we go, bit of water coming out, shouldn't be too horrific. There we go, that'll stay in there, and then the same again for this one here. Keep that towel there. See how easy that is with the having these unions to be able to modify stuff. Okay, so that's the pump out. Now what I need to do here, so that's the old pump out. Take this rubber boot off. You see these are just held on by Jubilee clips, basically, compression. They are really good, don't get me wrong. They're very easy to work with because they're so flexible. But better to hard plumb everything. I need this one here. Right, so these bits of pipe will be reused. Already pre-cut to size.
Goes to show they are holding really fast actually. There we go. That's that.
So I still need these parts.
And that pump is going to go on the koi pond. Okay, so these end parts are a bit grimy. You know, been in use for a couple of years, so we've got to give them a real good clean up, ready for gluing, and they have to be absolutely bone dry. Good thing about doing water changes, it gives me a couple of hours to make sure they are. But I want to get the gluing done as soon as possible, so it has those hours to set and go off. So, I mean, I'm quite happy with them, really good condition. So now let's go and plumb up the new pump, see how it fits together. Okay, so we're all cut to size, just measuring up before we do any gluing. Always do that, always get everything set in place, make sure it fits before you even touch the glue. So I'm happy with that. As you can see down here, rather than mess about with the this upright to get it the right size, I had a bit of old egg crate laying around, which is just lifted the pump off the floor, so that saves any additional cutting or whatever on that. So that's absolutely fine now. Happy with how it looks. So now we'll get this glued on and then wet test it. Just looking at it from the floor angle. See, everything's nice and straight. What we don't want to do is have any tension on these pipes or any twists. So it's all got to be sat without any additional pressure on it. Twists and stuff eventually lead to joint failures and stuff over time. And you generally don't want any additional stress on any pipe work anyway, in any situation. So it's very crucial that you make sure everything's cut right, it sits naturally, it sits nice with no tension or pull or drag on anything. And then yeah, we're going to glue this up now, and that's that pump permanently hard piped in. So while the pipe's dry for a couple of hours, or say a minimum of 2 hours, water change is in full swing. So it's now refilling. It's a slow refill. I've only got a 15mm hose to fill that. Yeah, so this is a standard maintenance day for me really. Obviously aside from the pump. It's a good opportunity to see the amount of plant growth coming through though. Really, he's even sending out runners below the waterline now, which I'm quite liking actually, quite leaving it to do what it needs to do. Right, now that's all done. I'm also going to go and change the pond pump over. Have a quick look at that, but I won't bore you with the details.